If we look back at how the internet revolutionized peer-to-peer communication, namely sending messages to one another, we see that it's because the internet allowed individuals to connect directly to each other. Essentially, that's what's happening with blockchain. Just as internet revolutionized peer-to-peer communication, blockchain revolutionized peer-to-peer money transfer. Currently, when one person transfers money to another person, he's actually asking a trusted intermediary, the bank, to transfer funds to the other person's bank. In some cases, namely international money transfer, this is highly inefficient due to the numerous institutions that the money needs to pass through. These institutions all need to verify the transaction, record it, and ensure it gets to the next institution or bank, which drives up the cost of each transaction. Blockchain is removing all the middlemen institutions and allowing individuals to transfer money directly to other individuals in a safe, transparent, and rapid manner. Since peer-to-peer transactions no longer need to pass through middleman institutions, the cost of transactions decreases significantly. To get a better view of what a public blockchain such as Bitcoin or Ethereum is, imagine a spreadsheet of transactions that's duplicated thousands of times across a network of computers. The spreadsheet of transactions replaces a central institution which would otherwise have to keep track of all the transactions. Then, imagine that this distributed spreadsheet can only be updated by a specific protocol which is carried out by a network of independent computers. On the left, you see a list of transactions which were bundled into blocks, which you see on the right. The protocol of bundling transactions differs per blockchain, but most are bundled via the protocol called proof of work, which ensures security and immutability of transactions. When the computationally intensive protocol is followed, the independent computer that was the first to complete the protocol and gets approved by the majority of the other computers gets to add the transaction to the ledger. Now you might be wondering, why would these computers waste their valuable computing power to add transactions to the spreadsheet? Well, in most public blockchains, they reward the computer that adds the transaction in the blockchain's digital currency. The advantage to having transactions or records shared in a decentralized manner is that the records are not susceptible to tampering and they can be easily verified by anyone with an internet connection. Furthermore, there is less strain on the central party to verify transactions, which means that the total cost of ownership is distributed. Financial institutions are being disrupted as blockchain technology has created newly vulnerable markets. The remittance industry, where companies facilitate cross-border international payments, has gone largely unchanged for the past 2 decades, being dominated by Western Union, MoneyGram, and Ria, which have about 25% market share. In the remittance market, about $500 billion gets moved between countries per year. When looking at how the remittance industry works, we see that to send money, individuals need to travel to a physical store where the employees take time to manually book the transfer, which subsequently needs to pass through other institutions before the money can be picked up at a physical store location in the recipient's country, where there is again an employee that will hand out the money. Now, blockchain technology allows users to digitally transfer money to each other directly, as blockchain technology knows no borders and it doesn't have to pass through numerous trust institutions. This significantly reduces the overall transaction costs for international transactions. The remittance industry is a newly vulnerable market because it's newly easy to enter, it's attractive to attack, and finally, it's difficult to defend. Firstly, it's newly easy to enter due to the ease of working with public blockchains such as Bitcoin, which only require an internet connection. Furthermore, new regulations for numerous Asian countries have legalized the use of digital currency for remittance payments, which has decreased the legal risks for startups and made it attractive to enter the remittance business. Finally, increasing internet penetration in developing countries has allowed startups to reach individuals through digital channels, which means they don't have to use the traditional approach, which is having a physical store location in a city. Second, the remittance industry is attractive to attack with blockchain technology. The remittance business is driven by volume and fees per transactions, naturally making some countries more attractive than others. Blockchain remittance startups can target the profitable countries, which have high volume and friendly regulation, while traditional players operate in almost all developing countries, which means they have to fund their less profitable businesses with their more profitable countries' businesses. For example, many Filipinos work in Japan, South Korea, and Australia, and send home a significant amount of money from abroad. Startups such as PhilPay and BitPay are positioning themselves between countries with high remittance volume, such as South Korea and Philippines. According to a Quartz article, about 20% of the remittances between these two countries goes via digital currency. Finally, the remittance industry is difficult to defend due to the business models that traditional remittance players have. Currently, for a transaction of $100, users will pay an average fee of $7.50, which is equal to a few days' wage in some developing countries. The remittance industry is highly price sensitive, as senders will choose the option with the lowest transaction fee, so the recipient will receive the maximum amount of money. Now, blockchain tech startups can offer significantly lower fees as they have agile operating models compared to traditional players. Traditional players have physical store locations and employees working at these stores in all the countries and the cities that they have locations. Tech startups can work with digital channels to help facilitate these transactions. Now, the remittance industry will continue to be disrupted by blockchain technology as we are entering an increasingly digital world driven by increased internet penetration and smartphone use, which will transform remittance payments. The countries where traditional players will initially start losing market share will be India, Indonesia, Nigeria, the Philippines, and Mexico. These countries are not only the fastest growing countries when it comes to mobile subscribers, they're also countries with the highest remittance volumes and friendly digital currency regulation, mostly, which means that these countries will become prime targets for startups looking to shake up the remittance industry. Concluding, blockchain technology has started to disrupt international peer-to-peer money transfer, and it's likely that this trend will continue due to increased smartphone coverage, internet penetration, and the price sensitivity of the remittance industry. In the coming years, blockchain technology will turn the remittance industry on its head, with any remittance business not using blockchain technology facing the risk of becoming obsolete due to the low cost of international transfers.